Here it is. Here we go. Let me move that right there. Yeah, no orc ships. That would be good. maybe I'll put an orc face on one of them. We'll do that. Literally, I had no ideas. I knew I had to. I feel like I had to make something, like make an art print of some sort. So I was like, what's the most generic thing? Because I'm going to test a theory. I don't want to give the theory away, but I want to test something. And if it's true, then there's a new secret ingredient we're going to add to every painting. Every painting. Super easy to do. It's like 2 clicks. And it's going to make all of this stuff really popular. Got my Gatorade, got an adult beverage here. So we're just going to paint for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Kind of see what we can get into. I would say I'm probably 70% of the way through the painting. Let me move this over here. And boop. Since we also have the music playing in the background, I'll probably do the art with no cam. That way you guys can see. I had a lot of people saying that sometimes I would show things like what brushes I was using or bring over references, and I have a tendency to put them right here so my my webcam and stuff would block it, you know. So we can maybe where do I want to put this chat? Interesting. I don't know. Well, because if the whole idea is I don't want to block. Here, I'll just do this. There we go. That way it's kind of on the deal. But you can still see all the brushes and all that fun stuff. And cool. Alright, so here's what we have. This is just Texture City right now, which is fine. I'm part of the thing I'm experimenting with is if I start my painting with this type of stuff in there, and then we temper it back around focal points. It's a way to get a whole bunch of detail with doing absolutely nothing. What's up, Rick? Rick and Greg, the gentlemen, are here. It's good to see you guys. So we have this, and then you can even see like splatter brushes that I'm using. But and then this is the color that we have right now. So I'm primarily just going to work in black and white and just keep this color. This is essentially just a gradient that I airbrushed. So I've decided not to worry about like trying to color within the lines. Is if you can see like right here, you can see some purples, you can see all that type of stuff. I actually just didn't really care enough. I know that sounds really bad, and as an artist, you're supposed to love everything you do forever and always. But this actually looks more interesting to me. I think I was starting to get in that rut, you know, where stuff just wasn't appearing very vibrant or very interesting to look at. And this piece is a lot of things, but hopefully uninteresting is not one of them. So yeah, that's what we got so far. But yeah, so I am coming and I'm kind of rendering in. I like the idea of the big oars coming over the side. But you can see I started them pretty small. I need to actually make them bigger. But yeah, really a lot of this was done with these painting brushes here. I did some Tradigital, like grungy splatter is everywhere. Like if you look really everywhere. And then the scratchy canvas is another one. And also I'm making a whole bunch of things that people might be really interested in. That's going to be up on the shop probably in the next week or so. I have to make about 20 more of them, and then I'll do the tutorial video, and then I'll put it up. But yeah, so this has a lot of the watercolor stuff, so you can see where it got, let me show you one. Watercolor texture stamp. If we do this one pretty big, a tiling technique, huh? I wonder if that's like Ahmed's checkerboarding. So with this brush, this kind of watercolor deal, I came in with these midtones. Did that. That's what a lot of this painting is. And you can actually see some of the textures like repeating right here. Look at, it's like perfect size. So this is what a majority of this one is, right? Small areas at a time instead of building it up like the norm. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. There is something that I do want to try, and it's kind of an Evan Amundsen thing, but it's actually something that I've noticed looking at old art from Japanese role-playing games, like old Breath of Fire and Star Ocean and like Vagrant Story, all that PlayStation 1 era stuff. There's something that those artists did that I really like, and I think I have an aha moment with it, but I need to test it. Because I think, before I get too far into this, let me pull it up, because I want to see if you guys think it's the same. Colin, what's up, man? Gradient map video. Oh, cool. Good deal, Colin. Heck yeah, man. Dude, gradient maps are a game changer. Let me pull up my PDF. My definitely 100% legal PDF that I got. Of Breath of Fire. So I really appreciate the simplification of this, but some of these are just ridiculously good. But I kind of noticed something in here. These not so much. These are a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more they're actually very complex as far as like color theory and stuff is concerned. Just grade A stuff all around. Incredible. But, and like this is fantastic. Freaking great. This is an iconic image in my mind. Man, in my like 14-year-old mind, this was the be-all end-all for me. And then Breath of Fire 3 is of course the best one. But I noticed something. So here's early days, Breath of Fire 1 and 2. But then whenever we get to Breath of Fire 3, and you can see this is very kind of, I like to call this Trapper Keeper notebook. Like old school 80s and 90s, Yu-Gi-Oh! You know what I mean? Like airbrushy sort of stuff. Very, very cool. A ton of nostalgia. But what I want to try, see, even old school color codes. I dig that a lot. That's super smart from a palette standpoint. But anyway, so Breath of Fire 2. Let me just do this. Seeing still kind of that same Trapper Keeper style art as far as the airbrushing. Okay. Now here's where we're going to get to the rad stuff, okay? So if you notice, this, like not coloring in the lines, so kind of what we're doing with the gradient stuff on this one. But something I've really noticed, it seems to me, especially like right here. So people will call this like cell shading. I think this is something different. Like this. This is super rad. I think this is the coolest thing in the world, man. Like, it's watercolor. It's that sort of like nice. You can see these. And I was like, I wonder how they do that. And I think I figured it out. Mentally, I think I figured it out. Like, doing it is a whole other thing. But what I noticed, I wonder if I just pick the local color. So this blue, this skin tone, the hilt for the sword, the scarf, you know, the pants, but this color of the pants. So the lighter color, kind of the pastel-y sort of color. I would pick those first, right? And I would fill them in. Do just complete bucket fill. Then I think what they do to get this effect is I think they pick the same color, so like this purple color, but then you come over it with the same color on a multiply layer, which is going to make it insanely dark, and then you just lower the transparency. You just lower the opacity. So that way you can just do structured shadow shapes, and they match because it's always the same color. And it's just going to multiply layer on top of it. You know what I mean? See what I mean? Like this blue color, and then if you multiply layer, it's definitely, like if you multiply layered this color, it would be more like this. But once you lower the opacity on top of this color, I think you get something like this. So I'm actually going to try that for my next YouTube video. It's going to be about Clip Studio, and I'm actually going to be doing some sketching studies of Breathfire, of these specifically, because I dig this. But I'm going to try this type of thing, because I wonder, that's just a very quick way to work. That's a super quick way to work, you know? The noise on top, yeah, which is great, and that's actually part of the thing that I'll be releasing soon. There's a bunch of very handy noise layers. You can see I'm getting my sketch brushes out, and I'm actually starting to put in some of the canvasy stuff here, and some of the watercolor brushes and stuff. I'm seeing that it has, and like all of these characters, basically I copy and pasted 4 or 5 times, you can see, and then I kind of stretch them out. And then come over here. And I sort of like the fact that it's messy. It's not 100% accurate. I just have to come in and clean this up. Then we can grab the that color layer. Let me get rid of that. That color layer and bring it back on top. In this one, I only have it down to 1 layer now, but basically it started the same way my sunset one did, where I literally just put shapes in here, and then it was funny, after I put in the shapes, the next thing I did is added the canvas filter layer, the overlay layer. Got the birds here. The nice thing about this is you can make, since this is so far back, you can make that look like a city just by doing little little vertical lines to break up those horizontals. And it works. It works really well. I think I'm just trying to get to the essence of what the picture is instead of really buckling down on the detail. Except for around here. I do kind of want to buckle down on the detail around here, because from what I've found, if we put a lot of the detail and a lot of the design stuff here, you're going to fill in the blanks for the rest of them. Do you see what I mean? You see how I did kind of the horse head thing here, because I did the horse head thing here. This is actually a makeshift version of the Mortal Kombat dragon, the logo from Mortal Kombat. And then I just threw little spikies on it, because why not? Spikies are cool. I could even add the little, in fact I will, add the little Mortal Kombat tongue, where it's like that. I think it's like that. That old school Mortal Kombat tongue. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Yep. This is the pattern fill, which is funny. This is part of my theory. I joke that I'm doing this as part of a theory. I think because there's a lot of artists that are very popular that kind of do that set it and forget it. They put this exact texture over their artwork at the very end. And then people are like, look at the brushwork. It's like, come on, man. I'm not hating. I mean, it's smart. Hell, I did it to add a bunch of detail, you know. So I'm just as guilty as anyone else. But, see, I thought I wanted this to, like, dip down. So I want to make this silhouette a little more nuanced. Basically, my version of that is just carving little shapes or putting big shapes on top of shapes that already exist. You know what I mean? Like, make the silhouette a little more interesting to look at. I can tie that around there. Hit these with a little bit brighter. There. Do some of that, kind of tear the ends a little bit, make it a little more flared out. But what I did, you'll notice what I did with the color. I brought in the sunset color as kind of a transparent. So we're kind of doing the same thing. Maybe I should add the, what I like to call the McDonald's bird. Just do a random McDonald's bird, man. You know? Do it to it. Should probably. Here we go. Carve it up a little bit so it's not as egregious as a, but literally it's V and M. And why they decided to make acrylics and oils the same section, where to find the acrylics and make them look as acrylic more than oil. That's a great question. I don't know why they did that. I genuinely don't. What was the last one that had the two separate categories? Was it Rebelle 5? Rebelle 4? But they do behave much different. And what I've found, if I want it to be a little bit more of an acrylic feel, I will go in to the visual settings. Basically, it's funny, I do have Rebelle open, I think. Yeah, I do. Okay. So, sneak peek what I'm working on. But I'll come into the visual settings here, and I will literally lower impasto depth to nothing and gloss to nothing. If I have nanopixel, I will click it. I think I'll up the paint texture because that allows the so this is another thing that's weird. The paint texture, these two definitions should be flipped, I think. Paint texture shows you more of the canvas texture per brushstroke. Paper texture shows you more of the texture of the paper on the brush, which is weird. Like, paint texture is the one that you would think, oh, that's the one where the paint itself has some speckle on it. Nope. Paint texture is the one that you can see the actual threads of the canvas better. You know, so it's weird, like, there's stuff like that, which is just bizarre to me. Yeah, I think about right there, and then maybe gloss. I can heighten up a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Yeah, there's small. I love Rebelle to death, of course, and I'm a beta tester, and I help develop it and all that stuff. But like, there are certain things like that, and the fact that the merge all layer deletes all of your other layers. It doesn't create a new layer of a merged copy on top. I think I've asked for that for like 2.5 years. It's genuinely one of those things that I would use Rebelle more often if it had that one feature. If I was able to literally just go like, because the way you have to do it in Rebelle is you have to, like, if there's 4 or 5 layers, you essentially have to duplicate all 4 or 5 layers, have all of those duplicated layers selected, and put merge layers, or like flatten image or something like that. But basically you have to do like 5 extra steps in order to just do something. Literally, Clip has a button, layer, merge visible to new layer. There's one button. I can hit the X button and it does it. And I mean, I understand that, you know, there's probably more behind the hood. And this is what because I had a voice chat with them. I was like, guys, I understand there's probably something behind the hood, but all I don't need any of that other information. I don't need any of it. The whole idea of digital painting to look traditional is the optical illusion of it. It's not, I don't care what the math is. I just need you to essentially take a Windows snapshot of my canvas and make it a new layer on top of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand the power of all the math behind it. It's just, you know, which is why you have to copy every layer, because it has to get all that information about the wetness and all this other stuff. But past a certain point, I don't care about that. I just need it. Does it look right? Okay, great. I need that, and I need to be able to paint on the thing that looks right. It's all about pixel density. It's not necessarily about the other stuff that's going on behind it. but I don't think, I mean, clearly it was either lost in translation or something, because it still hasn't been added. But it's been on their, to be fair to them, it's been on their to-do list for 2 years. You know, and it's not like sour grapes or anything. I still love it. I'll get every version of Rebel, you know, support them and stuff, because yeah, they're doing some insanely good work. It's just stuff like that. It's like, come on, guys, you have a, like, the most complex grid guide system I've ever seen, which is great, and I love it, and I think it's a perfect place to start if you're coming from traditional over to digital. I think it has like everything you need whenever you're doing a reference image. But then it's stuff like that, and it seems very small, but it would save minutes, and those minutes turn into hours when you're working on a 40 to 50 hour painting. I literally have to go export the image of how it is as a PNG file, then basically re-import the PNG file, and that's still less clicks and less hassle than doing a copy all these layers, then trying to select them and then merge them, and that, like, it's kind of nuts. What's up, Brent? I need to make, like, I don't know what this is necessarily, but I need to make it better. I know that much. Alright, there we go. I think the next stream, the next art stream, I'm gonna do a thing that I've put off forever. Because the thing is, it's not fun and it's not easy to do. But I do have a copy of Scott Robertson's, like, How to Draw book, where he has the most insanely technical guides to drawing stuff in perspective by eye. And I need to do it. I need to do all of those. I think if I just dedicated 2 weeks of nothing but that type of stuff, I would never have to worry about it again. Because stuff like this, like, I need to actually fix, this actually needs to come down. This needs to come down and over, because this, the ship's kind of coming at us, you know? But it's this type of technicality that I think my work lacks a little bit of, like, balance. I think it lacks a little bit of form. And I think that's part of the reason why. Is because I don't stick to perspective as well as I should. See, that's better, but it's still, like, uncomfortable. It's still not where it needs to be. And I think it's those things. I think it's those tiny little nuances, and I wouldn't say perspective is a tiny nuance by any means, but it's that type of stuff. That separates your top level pros. You know what I mean? Like this. You know, just to give it some sort of weight distribution. See, but now, and now these lines, because I wanted to sketch these lines, but I think these lines are actually causing a tangent, like a visual tangent, to where I need to re-up the structure of the boat. And this is essentially where pieces like this become work. You know what I mean? Which all of it kind of is at a certain point, but let's see, there's my horizon line. Which means... Oh, I wonder... Yeah, see? That's my horizon line. This, I should be able to actually almost see the bottom of this instead of the top. Right? That's how perspective works, right? If we are above the horizon line. And then that has to come down. Come on. All right. My income as a freelance artist has grown for it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, because, I mean, Rebel is a monster program, man. It's super good. Like, it absolutely, it super disrupted the whole Corel Painter thing. You know what I mean? Like, that and Art Rage. This doesn't make much sense. See, now I'm at the point where I'm finding stuff and I was like, well, these are kind of blobs and I guess that blob works and this one doesn't, and we're just gonna go and kind of fix this. But so really, okay, what I'm looking at. So Greg asked a very good question. I mean, it looks good, so what's the problem? That's true. The problem is it still doesn't feel, in my opinion, like, ironically, these boats that have way less detail feel more in the water because of all the stuff coming up around it and like all this than this one does. And then also I have my horizon line right here, which is really helpful if you're ever doing like a big landscape piece and you have a bunch of stuff in front. Always have something that's on your horizon line that you can call back to it. So because of perspective, if we do this, if we do like basic 1-point perspective, right? And then let me zoom out a little more so I can actually do this well. Everything below the horizon line everything below the horizon line, we're going to see the top of. So, like, this is why this works. Why seeing this top lip of the boat works. And actually, we can emphasize that even more now that we see where that horizon line is across the piece. We can do that, and then even, like, bring that up here if we wanted to, because that allows us to kind of see it. And then this can actually be a little darker here because that's in the shadow. And that's the basket of the boat, as it were, from the back, right? So that's why this works. The thing where it gets tricky, this, anything on the horizon line is going to be flat, right? So if I did this, if these are like chains or like some sort of rings or something around the boat for whatever reason, what actually needs to happen I'm going to just kind of color pick my way through erasing these. Oh, come on. don't know why the color picker sometimes in older versions of Photoshop doesn't actually pick up a color. Might be picking up like a pixel of that Greg Rutkowski texture. All right. So basically we would have something like a ring here, and that would be flat, right? But then anything here, we would start seeing underneath, and then based on how far away from the horizon line, and I mean, you know, this is very rudimentary stuff, right? But like, you see what I mean? And then anything below it, we're gonna see like this, right? Get a singular book printed. I'm putting together a pretty big design, and once it's done, I'm gonna make a hard copy. Yes. So there are a few book places that do like book on demand. I think one is called Mixam, Mixam, because I was actually looking for this if I wanted to do, you know, my like world building books. I was like, okay, how can I do this? So I will say the price is more expensive if you order one, but they have it set up because they are a printing press company. But there's quite a few of them. There's like 5 or 6 that came up. I know on YouTube, if you actually Google search, because I did this, if you put self-published art book, you're going to have a lot of artists that are kind of doing what your idea is and my idea is. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I just want to make this little thing, and, you know, I don't have a lot of money to spend, but I want to see how it looks and do all that. They give some decent reviews on stuff. Some people compared like that Mixam, I think that's what it's called, with like Kindle, like the ebook and Kindle Press and all that stuff. So there are options out there. I guess it depends on what the dimensions of your book are, because some places do anything. They'll do square books, they'll do whatever, but other places are a little bit more. You get your 8x10, your 9x12, your 6x9, you know, mass market size type thing. Yeah, Lulu Art Books, Book Vault. Yeah, so there are a few options, but I will say all of them, it's more expensive to buy one, or to order one, I should say, than if you did an order of like 50. And it's funny because it drops the price to like half the price. But of course, you're spending more money. That's why they do it. It's the economy of scale of it is, sure, if you buy 100 copies of this book, each book is 75% off. Yeah, because you're spending 4 times as much money, you know. But you're getting more. So that's why my personal thing that I'm thinking about doing is, if I do a graphic novel, art book, illustration type thing, I want to release it as a PDF first, and then see how it does, and kind of get like, oh, people are talking about this and they seem to really like it. Now let me go to Kickstarter, or now let me go to Indiegogo. Here's the plan. The book's already done. Like, you're not going to be investing in something that's not finished. Like, it's done. But I need this capital up front to be able to order copies, and then I'll sign them. I'll do sketches inside. We'll do different tiers of what you get. Like, that seems to be kind of the safest way to go, because I wouldn't be able to put up 10 grand up front to print a book that might not sell. But if the book is done, you can buy it already for like $5 on Gumroad or my website or whatever. And it's a PDF or an EPUB or a Mobi or whatever you like, whatever conversion we do for it. Then there's proof of like it already exists. But if you want a printed copy, hey, here's a Kickstarter thing. Let's see if we can do this, and then that way you get more incentives. That seems to be the way, because that way you get a whole bunch of books. People that really want it are putting up the cost up front, money where your mouth is. You know what I mean? Like, it seems a more tangible way to do it. But for just a basic print, yeah, you can. There's quite a few websites that you can get kind of a proof of concept, get sort of a test print version of it, and it'll still be less money, but you're still looking at probably 20 to 30 bucks out of pocket, I would say. But that might be worth it just to have it and kind of see it and be like, yeah, this could work as a thing, you know. Like a 15 by 9. Oh yeah, on like the classic kind of coffee table type of deal. That'd be cool. So yeah, I would say that would be the way to go. But yeah, 15 by 9, I wish I had my browsers up that has all my bookmarks and stuff, because I want to say I bookmarked a few of them, but I was like, I kind of scared myself out of it, because I was like, man, I can't just splurge and buy 300 of these and just have them sitting around collecting dust, because I don't set up booths or anything. I don't go to conventions. I don't do any of that. Not yet, at least. I can when the kids are older, but we can't tangibly do it right now. So I have to figure out the safest way to do things. It's like, okay, I'll make the thing. That's already a risk, because that's time. But, you know, even if 100 people buy it at $5 a pop, yeah, I made 500 bucks. You know what I mean? Like, I get all that money, or, you know, there's no overhead cost. Yeah, that's worth it, to me at least. I mean, I definitely think that's worth it. But, let's see here. So yeah, I'm hoping this kind of makes sense as far as what we're looking at regarding the this stuff, like this design thing. So the further away from that horizon line we go up, we see more of the underneath of the ring, and then the same thing kind of coming down on the ring. And see, these are very bare bones looks. I like that idea. I don't know what these ties would do. I can maybe like bring a rope in and wrap them around or something. Like, I don't know what this is. Design wise, it might not even make sense. Just get published and have them sell it. Well, and I did that for the Pact book. So Pact, they paid me an upfront, you know, they pay you in advance. And then basically per sale, you work towards paying back your advance. And then anything after that is royalty. So it works, but the only thing is, and I can tell you this from experience, just my wife is a great writer, but her looking to get traditionally published, it is an absolute madhouse out there right now. Like, if a publisher wanted to take me on, sure, but you know, to be completely honest, my skills would have to level up probably 3 to 4 times over before I would start getting those type of eyeballs on it. And that's just being true. You know, that's just being honest about it, which is fine. I mean, it's a goal. But it's also like, at that point, if I had a social media presence big enough, if I did all this other stuff and I was like, quote unquote, big enough and popular enough to get traditional publishers to look at me and be like, hey, we could bring you on board, would I also not make more money self-publishing? Do you know what I mean? Because publishers, their whole deal, very rarely do you get a publisher that's like, we're going to take a chance on you. Like, nobody takes chances anymore. Which is not a bad thing necessarily, but it's weird because nobody's like, oh, well, we believe in you and we're going to take a chance. And, you know, it doesn't really work that way. It's more like, can you guarantee that you're going to make us money? Yes. Okay, great. You're on board. So it's this proof of, I mean, like, how many indie comics have not been picked up by Image? You know what I mean? Like, and I would love to get something published by Image. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if any of the stories I have in my head are good enough to be like global, whatever. But it's a tough one. It's a tough road. Yeah. Oh, I can tell you, because I loved my experience writing Draw and Paint Better with Krita, and Pact was super good to me. Like, their team was incredible. They got to pick, and I got to help pick who my editors would be, as far as like other artists and like people that I was like, yeah, they understand this, they use it, they know what Krita is, and working with the Krita Foundation, like the whole thing was just a blast. I got paid more. How do I put this? I got paid more in 1 month from doing 2 card games. And this was only like 5 paintings. Than I did with my advance plus my first year of royalties writing the book. And to kick that off, I have a top 5% selling book for Pact. I'm one of their best selling authors ever. Ever. They showed me the numbers and they're like, holy crap, can you write us another book? And I was like, sorry man, I can't. I cannot justify the amount of time it took. It took probably 11 months. And this is right whenever Ollie, my son, was born. Or like he was about to be born, actually. I started the book before he was born. And I knew, like, my wife was like 8.5 months pregnant. And I was like, it's going to be any day, guys. Like, but I still said yes. I was like, I can't look this gift horse in the mouth. So yeah, let's do it. But yeah, over the course of 11 months, I made, to say not a living wage is very kind. Like, it wouldn't be a living wage for a week. And that's no BS. That's not sour grapes. It's not like hyperbole. You know, yeah, exactly. Like, their marketing muscle is basically what you're going in with. And it's like, yeah, sure. It's been awesome. And I love the fact that it's helped people. And the book has been really helpful to a lot of people. I've gotten amazing emails and the connections have been good. And like people buying the book that never bought an art book before and stuff, like really interesting. I love the fact that I was able to do it. But if we're talking just a pure business thing, I would absolutely self-publish everything and then go to Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever, because then I know the people wanting it are willing enough to buy it that they will buy it even before it's out. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're almost selling pre-orders to the thing, which I get. But my whole thing is, even before I would start a Kickstarter or anything, the thing has to be done. Literally, the PDF has to be print ready. I literally just have to hit the button. I have to be like, okay, we made the money. Now I'm going to spend the money. We're going to print the thing. You're going to get the books in like 6 weeks. Ta-da. Like, that's the only rational way I can think of doing it. I don't feel comfortable doing I'm going to put up a Kickstarter and then make the Kickstarter and you guys will get your book eventually. Haha. Like, no. It's not how that works. I know some artists have done that. But I'm not one of them. Yeah, really doing the Krita book is it was a lot of fun, because then yeah, I have a published book. Like, there's a book available worldwide, published, my name on it. And I'm now known as an art instructor. You know what I mean? Like, that was the other thing. This is like, okay, even if the money's not great, the fact that this is like a line in the sand as a definition thing, like defining who I am on this planet, like, yeah, that's worth it, you know? So the whole experience was definitely worth it. I wouldn't really change anything because I learned a whole bunch about like formatting and making stuff and doing tutorials, really, because you have to think that is however many chapters of nothing but tutorials step by step. Like, it really helped. I wouldn't be able to make the type of tutorial courses I make now without that, I guarantee you. So it was a huge net positive in that way. It's funny, now I'm just kind of coming in and I'm looking at some shapes. But I'm keeping this fairly open-ended because I've learned that what I really enjoy about like the Warhammer type stuff is the mood is more important, and there's maybe like one or two characters that are fairly well rendered. But then the rest of them aren't. The rest of them are just this. You know what I mean? Like, you're just kind of marks and put down and mood stuff and... Let me bring that back up. Sure, that looks like a dragon tail. You know? Alright. Something like that. Are you single? No. I am happily married for... oh man, 2017... 7 years? Yeah. I have 3 kiddos. So, this is all balancing the art life and the dad life and the husband life and the... you know, so... I mean, here's it. I'm at the point in my dad life now that I'll, you know, flattery will get you everywhere with me, right? Who's the weird bald dad that does nothing but paint all day and makes really bad dad jokes? Let's see, so I'm just doing that. Boop. I'm gonna put the little that little tongue right there is the same thing as this one. Haha, doing it. So do that. Yeah, and here in a minute I will turn the color back on. Here we go. And then we can just start messing with the color and smudging some stuff and doing some things. That's what we'll do. It's too late. You're very sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, the family's awesome, man. And my hope is to be the cool dad in the neighborhood now. You know what I mean? And when you know it, it's funny to think about now. I used to have like really long hair, like really long, like down to the middle of my shoulders long. Like in high school and stuff. I was a surf bum. Like I came from the East Coast and then moved to the Midwest. So I had all this like surf vibe, which you guys could probably see that, but the surfer vibe. So like in the middle of like high school classes, I would let the girls like scrunchie my hair and stuff, you know? was a good move. It was a good move. I do get to make the claim that I was invited to prom all 4 years of high school, which is very, very kind. There was one year, I can't remember what it was, like I think it was the second year I went. I wore a zoot suit because I was like, this seems like a good idea. I'm gonna wear that zoot suit, man. Then I think it was senior year. Me and my friend dressed up in the Dumb and Dumber suits. We'll do that. What I'm noticing lately is coming in and kind of doing, it's funny, instead of doing sketching first, I do sketching last. Like I'll come in and I'll add details by sketching it in later. And I don't know what it is, but I seem to like that better. Because it lets me get in those big shapes first, you know? And then I come in and sketch. Oh, yeah. Fatherhood is, I mean, it's a blast. It really is. It's just, I'm so tired. I am so unbelievably tired. Because you have to think, my schedule right now, and you know, it won't be this way forever. Me and my wife talk about it a lot. Because sometimes there's some burnout happening, I'll tell you. But I'm kind of this, you know, stay-at-home dad. Because my job gives me the liberty to work from anywhere. So to save money on childcare, they're with daddy. And it's nice, but it is also a lot. So I usually work whenever the kids go to bed, probably at about 9 o'clock, you know. I'll work from then until about 3 or 4 in the morning, and then wake up at about 7:30 in the morning and do it all over again. And I've kept that schedule for, I mean, Ollie is 2.5 now, almost 3. Or no, he's 3.5. What am I talking about? It's 3 and see, I don't even know what year it is anymore. That's how tired I am. But I mean, like next year he'll be starting pre-K, which is crazy to me. So yeah, so if you ever wonder why on like the YouTube stuff, like there's some weeks I just don't got it, that's why. But I do think it will definitely get, you know, parenthood doesn't really get easier, it gets different, you know, because my oldest, she's 12. And great, you know, I'm excited for all of them to be 12. You know what I mean? Like, I love them as babies, and they're adorable. But I need some semblance of normalcy. Because what I'm hoping is that, like, once both kiddos start school, I may stream 5 days a week. Like, I could take on personal clients. I could take on, like, more mentor-mentee type training. I can do more traditional art stuff because they're going to be old enough to know not to, like, don't touch the oil painting. You know what I mean? Like, so it's really going to open up a lot of different avenues. I'll also be able to travel, do speaking engagements and stuff. So it's just kind of waiting it out, you know. But no, they're a blast. They're hilarious. I know this rope is like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, look how thick that rope is. It's ridiculous. Here, let me do that one. Let's see, maybe if I come in and kind of carve this away, and then have it get larger, the foreshortening of it, and then have it go away here. There we go. All right. So I think we're rendered okay. So now we turn on the color, and now we're going to come and fix some of this stuff. Right. I've also noticed I'm really liking adding color with the soft round brushes. Oh. Boop, boop, boop. Here we go. And doing this kind of gradient look has actually been really nice because I'm not super worried about coloring in the lines. I'm not worried about paint by numbers. I'm not worried about that stuff because I can just sort of, you know, kind of soft brush this. See what I mean? And like now that we have the texture and stuff down there, but I can sort of do like this, and it works okay. It's way less stressful to do this. And then see, I can use this brown. I started it here. I can use this brown as like almost like part of their uniform to kind of keep that nice brown motif within their maybe a hat there. Then we can go there, skin tone, a little bit of that, change that one, and this one. Cool. Oh, yeah, I gotta fix this too. Yeah, Line Last is seemingly it's a good way to go, I think, because it's just it works because it helps you work big to small, you know? And working big to small has really never let me down. Fix some of these. Fix this one. Get that top right there because that goes over here. All right. Boop. I think that's pretty good here. Let me that's okay. I think it's a little messy around here. Yeah, I think it's a little messy around here. So I wonder if I should come in and let me do plastic wrap. I've been liking the plastic wrap brush a lot lately just because it looks artificial. It doesn't look like a big painterly brush. So, what's nice about that, oh, new layer. What's nice about that is it gives you some good contrast. Like, it's kind of a paintbrush a little bit, but it's still synthetic enough. Like, it embraces kind of the digital repeating texture thing that a lot of my favorite art has. Like, I don't even know what this is over here, but I'm gonna keep it. Like this. Boom. So, I'll show you guys what I'm working on. So, you guys here are awesome. You're loyal, Appreciate having you here. So I will show you what the next product's going to be. Let me open one. Okay, so I really like that kind of Greg Rutkowski texture look. The only thing is, I can smell it a mile away. I know the second I see this, and I see this quite a bit. I've used it a lot, especially in like 2019, 2020. I used it for almost every painting I ever did. But I can sense it like a spidey sense. So what I want to do is I am making a bunch of custom canvas overlays that also have impasto on them. So like if I bring this one in and you see these marks right here, if you zoom in real close, you can also see the canvas on there. So what this is useful for is if you go to select all, copy, and then on a new layer, edit paste, and then fit it. You can grab the holding control. You can grab and resize and all that stuff. Kind of warp it into place. And then we do that. And then you do an overlay layer. What ends up happening is you start getting these big impasto brush marks. You see these? So if we hide it, bring it back, but you can see some really big, thick impasto brushes. And sometimes it works. Yes, this literally works. This will work with every single digital painting program that has layer blending modes. Every single one. Because these are just all JPEG files. And see how all of this is, and I'll hide it again. I'm gonna bring it back. So you can easily add, and see like down here, all of these that come across here. So we have some of those, but then like if I do, there's a few of these. Yeah, like this one has some really thick stuff, and like this type of canvas stuff on there. And the nice thing about all these is these are all good for an overlay layer, but I'm also making some surface textures. Then someone you can do as like a hard light. So like if we come in, we do the same thing here. Spin it, put it in. And I'm gonna make these in 4K and 8K. So that way, no matter what size your canvas is, you're going to get some pretty crisp looking. I'm going to make like 30 of them probably, but see these? See how like ridgy and all that stuff is? And like you see these swoops right here where you can see the canvas. Over here, overlay, boom. Now they are part of your painting. You can see that extra stuff there. All that kind of noise and warbly and all that stuff makes it look super, super traditional. So we'll do that. Then what we will do, we will mask with either a soft round or an airbrush. Actually, I'll keep them here. But I'll kind of get rid of them over here. Some of my focal points, I'll actually get rid of them so your eye has a place to rest. A bit of kick out of that. Reminds me of a lot of the PC did in this tutorial. Yeah, so like this is very Rutkowski inspired, you know. He's kind of the guy that made this a super popular technique. Like he even has it more on lock than like Craig Mullins did, you know. But really the secret to using these is anywhere where it breaks, where it breaks against a tangent. So like here's a perfect example. If I hide this, see these lines, like especially right here when I showed again, right here and up by the head. See how they're going through? You don't want that to happen. So that's when you get a soft round brush, you come and you mask it out and you mask it out. So it can come up to the end, but then it goes through it. So even you're using the texture of this stuff like it's a drawing. You're looking to make sure and see like stuff like this. This is actually caked in. I baked in all the Greg Rutkowski texture while I was painting. So I can't do it on these because that's not mine. That's the Greg Rutkowski texture. But any of them that I see my texture going over, where it doesn't make sense, I get rid of it. You know. So basically this is a fancy noise layer. So like there's a little bit of line right here, but that one's okay. That one's fine because the like Brent was saying, water is messy. But what I don't want to happen is for a line to cut through something that it's not supposed to. Let's see if there's any over here. No, that actually worked out pretty well. Maybe like right here. Here we go. So it's just a way of controlling this, you know, controlling the chaos as it were. But then, yeah, see, you get some really nice looking effects with all of this. And we got that. Cool. Select all, copy, merged, edit, paste. Now it's all ingrained on one layer. Then what I can do is get a smudge tool and start smudging. Do this. Let me grab, what was it, my brush pack, maybe? Yeah, smudge one. Strength. I do not need to sample all layers because I merged everything. There we go. It's amazing how well a good smudge brush can like tie in this whole thing, man. It's ridiculous. And if you want to be like next level, truly next level, what you can do with some of these textures, you come up here and you see like this texture right here. Follow the texture line. It's not even really brushwork at this point. You're just tracing. You're tracing over where the brush would begin and end, and making all of it work together. So it's way harder to tell what was like an overlay layer versus what was painted on there versus like, that's the whole idea. You just want to get used to, I mean, what we're in the business of optical illusions, right? Trying to tell a story in 2D on, you know, try to make a big 3D thing and something that like gets people's emotions, but you're doing it with colors and lines. And so any nice trick you have, they work. Cool. So yeah. I do need to fix the boat still. I think I need to do that. Yeah, stuff like this. And like, this is a weird one. That shape is weird. Made like a tangent, so I'm gonna get rid of that shape. And I basically define a tangent as anything that's like eye-catching that shouldn't be. I know the technical term for a tangent is like a line over a line that causes the difference in planes to be misconstrued. But for me, there we go. Tangent's just anything that's eye-catching that's not supposed to be. Here we go. Yeah. Sure. That looks like a painting. You know? There it is. So now we're just going to render the rest of this. Take another drink real quick. So I will say, now that we've kind of done this part, now I just get to kind of come in and render out and then we'll be done. But I started Final Fantasy 16. That game is awesome. Yes, sir, Greg. I was looking for my brushes from this year, but I did not have them loaded. There we go. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That does make sense. Yeah, that's actually a good idea to do a little something to bring in even a little bit more. So we can do it a number of ways, actually, because we can do it almost like the camera. If we think of it, yeah, like the camera is catching the light coming off of the... Yeah, you can do that. Let me open. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. We can do one of... Let's do this one. So the thing is, it needs to catch a glint. It needs to catch like a actual piece of metal. See, here's the deal. I need to like make this lower because I do really like the idea. However, the thing that makes it a little... Yeah, we can maybe do it up here. Makes it a little weird is the real flare. We have like that. The real flare would be from over here, because that would be the huge, like, it would be like one of these. You're good. No, it's a good idea. It's a very good idea. And like we have something like that. Yeah, see how it's kind of like truly busting open that light. Something like that. This one, actually. Oh, that'd be cool. So if we do something like this, we can almost make it seem like the tip of this is catching, but it's almost acting like a beacon for the other ships. You know what I mean? I wonder if up there maybe? No, it's too Christmas tree-y. Oh, maybe we can do something like that, where it's a little more. Let it do this though. See, it's funny because this is the type of thing I think I need reference for. But how do you get reference? That looks pretty cool. I mean, it's diagonal. It may not make sense, but if we had ships and if the lighting was like this, and you know, what angle would the glint come from? So I know the answer has to do with the lens itself. What lens are we using? Because light blooms like this. Basically, light reflections and refractions have to do with how the glass of the lens is picking up the light that's coming into it. So the exposure and the ISO and all that stuff. But it also deals with the angle. It's funny, you can tell if like in movies, because I had to learn this working with Adidas. You can tell lens flares if they were added in post-production or if you really got a lens flare, because it's going to match the aspect ratio of the lens on which it was shot. So like you can tell if there's a good IMAX shot and they put in and then they put in the deal after the fact. If they put in the deal after the fact where the aspect ratio doesn't match, because IMAX is a very specific ratio. I wonder if we can do like this. So the thing with lowering the opacity, since we're on screen blending mode, it won't quite look right. Because you want it at 100 because you want it to blow out the edges. You want it to do that. Like, you know, if you're paying for a glint, you want the glint. You know what I mean? But that's what makes it more difficult. So maybe like this, actually. Kind of in between the two heads. It can be lowered a little bit. It's another something cool to look at. I mean, really, do the tip of the spear right here, but now it makes it look like a magic wand, you know. I think there might be something to that, though. Yeah, that one might work. Here we go. Once again, select all, copy merge, paste. And now I think I will just grab the palette knife. Or no, the dry Rosetta. That's the one I'll use. We'll come in and fix this water. I did a little bit of the water this way to begin with. You can see how it has that same exact kind of texture. we'll get rid of some of these more abrasive transitions. Use some of these. Yeah, so this is very much a painting that is made not worrying about if it makes sense or not. You know, it just doesn't quite make sense, but if it looks cool, it is cool. And I'm just telling myself that that's what I need to do. I'm at the point in my career now to where I need to make stuff that just looks cool. And then if people want to hire me to work on their project, that's one thing. But I need to make work that looks cool enough that I can make my own stuff and it'll sell. Can't be reliant on industries that either don't hire on a regular basis or are starting to use AI, which a few of the people I had on my wish list to work with started doing that, which is a bummer. So let me grab that one. Do some plastic wrap here. Hey, Alex, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you. Greetings to the fine friends in Brazil. So yeah, I'll make that wave a little more crashy. Now, what I've found doing quite a few like sunset crashing waves paintings lately, the real chaos comes from the splatter up top. And the rest of it, if you just kind of allow the edges to be really messy, it sells pretty well. It does pretty good, right? That's good. Do some of those. And some of these. So basically here I'm just coming in before I finish up the boat, the bigger boat. I'm just kind of connecting some of these lines now. Once again, kind of getting rid of any of the tangents I see or anything that just stops for no reason. Almost think of it like sanding the edges off. Sort of what we're doing here. We're keeping a lot of the chaos, but we are going to temper it a little bit more. Yeah, so like that. There we go. Having the really white of the foam. Yeah, that's cool. And then we can actually use this dark right here. It's funny, this reminds me of one of my old Warhammer paintings. It's funny, I do wish I could go back and redo some of those. Because, like, you know, client was happy and I was happy to work with Warhammer and stuff, but the paintings could use some work. We were on a crazy deadline, but still, that's no excuse. I guess it's like a coulda, shoulda, woulda type thing, though. You know, I did what I could with the skill I had back then. Okay. So yeah, these waves are looking way better. Way better. Yeah, it's cool. That's cool. I'm digging that. I'm glad I went in with this. Yeah, this plastic wrap brush is like becoming a standard. An absolute standard in my stuff. Just because it kind of does everything, you know? It can sort of render, but it's still a little messy. You can do some lines, but those are messy too. But you can control it, which is pretty powerful. Down here a little bit. Here we go. Oh, I know what I could do. This might actually help a little bit. I'm gonna sketch some designy type stuff in here. Almost like little like ornamentation or something. Let's see how well this works. And see, as we're getting further away, like back here, I'm doing less detail because of how the water is going to be like kind of misty and foggy. It's going to block some of this detail. What I could do, I could photo bash in some like ornamentation, I think it's called. Basically like those little decals and like engravings that you would see in like armor. But I think I'll just do it like this. I think there's something cool about having the handmade scratchy, you know, if I come in and kind of do this. Actually, let me get rid of that one. Trying to keep in mind that old adage that the painting is only as good as the worst part of the painting. You know, which is a tough pill to swallow. But it is what it is. Kind of blurring that out. Let me. There we go. Here we go. That. Yeah, very much like crashing waves. Light up there. Light. There we go. Cool. All right. I think that is a wrap. Let me get my hard round texture brush. Change this to color. There we go. Okay. Something like that. Oh, actually, let me change that to normal. I'm gonna get rid of save. Now my Photoshop is being silly. That's why I don't normally change that brush mode to color mode. I change the layer to color mode and do like a new layer. Because sometimes in these older versions of Photoshop, they fixed it in the newer ones, I think. But sometimes brushes stop responding. There we go. And then I just clicked on this layer and then clicked on this layer again. Or I clicked on the layer below and then the one above. And it kind of woke Photoshop back up. Here. So I just need that. Okay. Let me grab that. Now we're going to come in and add a little bit of rim highlight. Just in a few places, just to show a little bit of like engraving type stuff. It's not really anything. There's no actual structure to it. I'm just doing it just to add a little bit to the silhouette. You know, we talked about that earlier. As long as the silhouette works okay, the piece works pretty well. And that. Yeah, the devil's just in the details now. It's... Here, let me... Get some of these, connect that. There we go. And see, notice with the characters, I don't even paint their arms. I don't do any of that stuff, just because it's not necessarily needed, really. And those connect here. Let me get this. Texture that up a little bit. Texture this up here a little bit. Here we go. I'm kind of looking at the, there we go. The shape of that, this would essentially just snap if it was really that narrow. So we're going to come in and bring this in a little bit. There we go. So yeah, this is more of that kind of sketching as the final step rather than the first step. I just did my big shapes here for this one on the first step, which got us here. But now I'm just doing a little hard round brush and coming in and kind of squaring off some of these things. There's no real method to it. It's just going, and something looks a little too plain or dry or whatever, I'm just going and doing a little bit of random, almost like impressionistic brush strokes. There's a video I saw, I cannot remember who made it. Somebody in chat might know, but it's called How to Draw Detail Without Drawing Detail, and it is a game changer because it talks about perceived texture, whether it's a difference in contrast, whether it's value contrast, color contrast, whatever. The eye sees that as detail, even if it's not. But it's a very powerful tool to have, you know. I think, here, let me... And then we're going to do the the old standby, where this is something I learned from old traditional landscape painters, like Albert Bernstadt and people of like the Hudson River School and stuff. Always, always, always at the base of your canvas, whether it's the front corner or something like that, a front corner, side corner, like this corner, see how it's coming in? This corner, I'm going to do the same thing. See how it's going to come in? You want to give a viewer an on-ramp to your painting. Literally, you want them to have an area of rest right before they go off the painting. But what it actually does, you would think that would be a little too obvious. But what it does is it allows the viewer a time to rest and like come into the painting. They're literally traveling with you. You know what I mean? So like, it allows the viewer to get their bearings. So you can have a lot of cool brushwork here, but you also don't want anything kind of going off, any sort of detail going off on this front part. Usually. Now, of course, you can, every rule is made to be broken, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like smoothing out this transition a little bit. And what you'll see is whenever we come back in and we, yeah, see that? So kind of go over there. Okay. What's going to happen is it gives the whole piece a sense of movement, and you want to go back and look back. See, it's almost like a circle. It's like you're basically blocking the subjects in. See? You have that, and then you have that. So like, it literally looks like the waves are like crashing towards what you want them to look at, because the eye has a place to rest right here. There's still brushwork, there's still all that, but like, that's a super, I do that. If you look at every single one of my environment paintings, every single one of them, they do this. Every single one. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think we got ourselves a painting. And you'll notice I didn't do any of the there we go. I didn't do any of the like rim light on the birds, because I don't think the birds need it. It would make sense that the birds would have rim light because they have feathers, and the feathers like refract light because they can be shiny. But there's already so much going on that having the birds stay just kind of, I don't know, monochromy actually takes less, they take up less visual bandwidth, you know? They're not like pulling, they're not pulling attention. But yeah, I think that is it. So who knows? I don't know if the print will sell. Like, that's the thing, is I know Rick may have already left. I think it's really early for him, but him and I had a talk about art prints. I just don't sell very many art prints. And that's not a boo-hoo thing. It's more like, I don't know if my work makes sense for art prints. Like, I don't know if my work is the type of thing people want to hang in their home. I think my stuff is more a means to an end, as it's like part of a game, or part of the structure of a book, or part of a, you know what I mean, like a cover, or a, I think it's Because, you know, not every book cover is going to make a good poster to hang in your house. I wonder if my stuff's a little more, not designed, is not the right word, but function. It serves more of a function than like just I say just a print. The print's a hard thing to do. It's like fine art and printmaking, very difficult. It's a whole different way to think about the world. But it's fun. I like doing this stuff. Leon, hey, thank you so much for that follow. Appreciate you very much. Welcome to the stream. We're just wrapped up this one. Yeah, here it is at 100%. So that. And then what we like to do is I'll take it into Rebel and I'll do a 400% export. That way it's 4 times the size. So whenever I send it over to Imprint, they can have the highest quality version. Oh, one thing I want to show you guys before we Eduardo, what's up, my friend? It's great to see you. So, something I want to show you guys. I think you can do this in Clip. I think you can do this in Krita. Any painting program that has a sharpen mask, here's a cool thing you can do. I am going to select all, copy merged. See, this is why I want a copy merged feature in Rebel so much, is I use it all the time. So I need all the visual information here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in, okay? And you see this kind of like texture-y brushwork stuff, right? I'm going to go to Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask. And what this does is this adds more contrast to any sharp value change. So really all of your edges. Your edges, if they're hard edges, they're going to become deeper edges. This doesn't really make sense, but I'll show you. I'm going to do it at about 45%, the radius 3.4, so it'll spread out a little bit, and the threshold at 33 levels, that's fine. So, okay. What this does is it makes the brushwork crispy. That's a weird word, but that's the best word I can think of. So like, if we take a look right here, right? I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it on. All this does, it does a little bit of something. So off, it adds a little bit of contrast to the whites and the blacks. It pushes them just enough that it like, it's super subtle. But across the entire painting, see, look at this. Some of it makes it look super like, whoa. And like, especially like down here. It's basically you just ramp up the contrast on your edges. If we want a really big example of what it does, I do unsharp mask, and then I do like, oh god, yeah, there you go. That's what it's doing. See how it's like ungodly, like, whoa. That's essentially what's happening, right? But if you do it subtle enough, it will crisp up the edges, but not do it in such a way. Basically, it doesn't look like a filter did it. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't make it look like we did this after the fact. It makes it look like whatever brushes we were using have that kind of contrast on them. So just some really cool stuff. But yeah. think that is it. Another thing I can do. Oh, actually, let me do this. Merge that down. Yes. Now select all, edit, copy, merged, edit, paste. I'm curious to see what Photoshop's going to do. We're going to do our whole auto contrast, auto color, auto tone and see what happens. I bet it makes the blues way bluer and it makes the yeah, I bet it actually makes everything cooler. Image, auto tone. Oh, interesting. Okay. Right. So this one, so this is auto tone. Let me undo. Let's do auto contrast. Yeah, that's fair. I might actually not do auto contrast because if I'm planning on this being a print, I want this to be a little lighter. Because if we do our proof colors, actually, wow, we nailed it. Okay, cool. So this is what it looks like in CMYK. And this is what it looks like in RGB. So almost identical, which is great. It means I'm not out of spectrum or whatever. Threshold, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. I'm not out of the color threshold. So all of these colors should print really well. But I want to keep it a little lighter because everything prints about a half value darker. No matter what it is. Whatever your digital image is, whenever you change it from an additive light source to a subtractive, which is what pigment is once you print it, everything's going to drop about a half value, right? So this white will not be perfectly white when you get it on a canvas. It just won't be. But that's why you also don't want to go super, super dark and black, is because the black is just it's gonna mud up. Like I bet some of this, like some of these darker ambient occluded places actually print fairly close to black, if I were to guess, right? So all that being said, let's do auto color. Is it going to do the thing? Is it going to make it more... I wonder if it's going to make it more blue or if it's going to make it more red. If it's going to make it warmer or if it's going to make it cooler. Made it cooler. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it would make the blues more blue. Normally it tries to find the color that is most apparent in your piece and like enhances that one, which is cool. But also, I like that better. I like the warmer hit of light because that also sells the idea that this kind of the canvas sail is more see-through, it's more rugged, it's more weathered because that light matches and it looks like it pierces through there. You know what I mean? So that's that right there. But I do think I like... Which one was it? Yeah, see, it makes it too dark. I know you can fade autotone. So if we wanted to fade the opacity down a little bit to like 13% or so. There we go. Yeah, where it just kind of tightens up the darks right here. If you look here, it just kind of crushes them in there, which is cool. That's cool. All right. Final save. All right, man. That's a painting right there. Yeah, I feel okay about that one. I do think it's a good idea to start with the texture stuff first. And then that way, as we paint, we're kind of playing with the texture as it goes. Yeah, it's cool. Like I said, next time we're going to be doing some more, some really kind of arduous, not fun, but very necessary exercises. Really, what I need to get down, probably more than anything, is carving shapes out of perspective. Because I think that is a very, very big, kind of a low point in my skill set. Well, it's definitely a low point in my skill set. But once you guys see the structure of it, we're going to be using the Scott Robertson book. I have a physical copy, but I also have a PDF. So we'll look at some of those exercises, and man, they are brain numbing. But the good news is, I think if I really dedicate the time and like really study and like understand, I mean, we're talking about if you have 2 vanishing points and you make a 90-degree angle between the vanishing points, but then you spin, that's how you can make a car, like a curvature on a car from imagination. Like, it's crazy stuff. But like, I think if I do it and I dig into it and it has that click moment of like, oh yeah, I think it'll help everything else. I think I'll be able to draw and sketch better in perspective without a perspective grid at all. Especially 3-point perspective. 3 points where things get hairy. Like 2-point, you can get pretty complex stuff and it looks really cool. Especially like the sides of a building and stuff like that. And then you have the structure coming up and down. But your visual, your field of view is only like 50 to 60 degrees. Kind of your cone of vision, as it were, in a 2D thing. But in your 3-point perspective, it can be much greater. And like if you're looking up, or like if you're on top of a building looking down, that stuff gets buck wild. So I think if I practice that more, I think we'll be in a better place as far as working from imagination, which is the overall goal, you know. Like this one, I'm actually pretty happy. I didn't use a lot of reference. I think I had like one reference, and it was for how the masthead looks on a ship. But then I saw basically it depends on the ship, but the way they carve it, and then it can kind of flare out almost like a bulb, like a light bulb. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all I need to know. And then I threw it out. So yeah, this one was very from imagination, which also explains why all of the so you guys, well, it explains why all of the canvases look the same. This one doesn't. I knew I had to change it. I was like, all of these are the same shape. It's a square, which makes sense if you're catching wind. They're all going to be kind of flared out, right? But I needed to do one that was different. But they're even like the same size, which doesn't make sense. Now, you see, the longer I look at this, the more I'm going to be like, oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Which is the biggest curse you can have. Like, I could actually, in fact, I might curve this out and then have more than that. See, now I'm doing stuff. Here, I'm going to make a new layer. Let's see if this works. I'm going to grab the main brush. Famous last words. color picking there. Keep that kind of ripped. And now the real secret is like, let's do that. Also get rid of a little bit. That one's fine. That one's blown out. Yeah, that's fine. Now they're good. But I wonder, I should have thought about this. Should this bar actually be behind this canvas? So I can also do this. Like what we talked about. You know, like would the canvas be in front? That's what I should probably look at for reference. Because it could be like a... this. Right? It definitely sells the idea of a canvas over it, but I can't tell if that's more correct or not. Maybe. I think it actually adds to that effect that light is coming through. We do that. And here, we do that. And that. Let me lower the opacity of these because they're further back. Kind of adding in some of that atmosphere. And this, I'll do the same thing. Yeah. See, that's one of those obvious things that you don't, unless you're looking at your own thing kind of critically, you're not going to see it. So now I think I'm done poking it. I think I'm done poking the bear. Now at least the canvases look somewhat different. Right? So, here we go. Let's do that. There we go. Yeah. Good enough for government work, right? Alright. So that is our painting. Ta-da! I should have prints of it soon. Probably within the next hour and a half or so. But yeah. That's my time for today, guys. Yeah, been painting for about 2.5 hours now, I think. I wish my Streamlabs obs would tell me how long I've been streaming. Like down in down in the tray. There's like a tray that shows how much CPU usage you have, how many frames per second, all that. There used to be a way to show how long you've been live. I know I can probably put it on the... There's a plugin for everything nowadays, so I could probably do that, but... Yeah. So that's it. We made ourselves a nice print. We're going to put on the print shop. And of course, if you want to go to the print shop, or if you need tutorials or brushes or any of that stuff, if you go to wesgardner.art, all of that stuff's there for you. And I will be putting out that kind of overlay surface texture canvas pack probably in the next week or so. I think it's only going to be like $3. And I want to have at least 20 textures, and it's going to have a video tutorial on kind of how to use them and all that stuff. So, but yeah, they're going to work in every digital painting program. So they work in like Krita and Procreate and Photoshop, Clip Studio, Affinity, Photo, Infinite Painter, anything that can bring in a texture, and then you can change the layer mode. As long as it has like overlay or soft light or something like that, you're going to be a-okay. And what's really cool is I'm even making some just general canvas textures that you can put as your bottom layer, import it, put it as your bottom layer, draw on top of it. Then if you duplicate that layer, that canvas layer, put it over top and then lower the opacity after you do like soft light or something like that, it looks super real. It's kind of creepy. Because like I bet if I do it on a few of my sketches, people will be like, oh, did you scan it in? Did you take a picture with your phone? And it's like, no, man, it's all digital, which is really cool. It's a really cool effect. It's fun. It adds some texture and some life, you know, to something that could even be like a really basic pencil sketch, or like a, you know, what do they call it? A spit paint. Is that what the kids call it these days? Anyway, and now I'm showing my age. For sure. But that's it, man. That's it for me. Thank you all for hanging out. It's always a blast to paint with you guys. Yeah, I think this upcoming Saturday, oh, it's going to be a training. We're going to have to get like a Rocky montage music, man, because we're going to be doing some work. We're going to be doing some perspective work. We're going to be looking at like ellipses within stuff. I'm going to try to figure out the best way to use the Clip Studio perspective grids. I also have a perspective grid deal in Photoshop. I have plugins and all that stuff. But the real goal is I need to mathematically know this stuff. That way, whenever I start sketching, I don't need any of the grids. I can just do it, and it works pretty well. Kind of like what we did with the rings on the front of the boat. Whenever we changed that perspective a little bit and based it on the horizon line, that type of stuff. It's super important. And the more I can start utilizing that in my pieces, I think the better everything's going to be. Because, yeah, I like good brushwork. Yeah, I like good colors and values and all that. But, as we've said before, if the image itself isn't interesting to look at, you can put all the shiny bells and whistles that you want on it, but if it's not worth all that effort, what are we doing, you know? So yeah, a lot to think about, but Saturday's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a grind, but a good grind. So you actually get to see me. If I had hair, I will be pulling it out, trying to figure out what all this stuff is. Now I'll have some snippets of the PDF that I'm looking at and all that stuff up too. So if you guys want to follow along, but I'm promising you, once you see how some of these grids work, you're going to be like, absolutely not. I was looking at them and I was like, I know I have to do this. I know I have to get better at it. I need to understand it. Oh my God. It's so much. But anyways, that's the fun of being an artist, right? You're always improving, pushing yourself, doing what you can do to the best of your ability, over and over and over. And then hopefully one day you get good. So we're trying to get good, you know. That's my time, guys. Take care. Have a great morning or night, wherever you are. If you're watching on the YouTube archive, I appreciate you very much. If you're on Twitch, of course, love our Twitch folk as well. But that's it for me, guys. Yeah, go hang out, go make cool art, and we'll see you soon. Deuces.